It's time once again for another episode of the Buckhead Business Show. Being brought to you by the Buckhead Business Association. Broadcasting live from the Pro Business Channel studios in Atlanta. And now, here's your host for today's episode.
Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. It's another one of those beautiful Buckhead days here in the city of Atlanta, overlooking the beautiful Lenox Mall and the Phipps Plaza. And man, it is a winter. If we had a Chamber of Commerce, this would be a Chamber of Commerce day.
Right.
But we're just sponsored by the Buckhead Business Association because we're pro-business here at the Pro Business Channel, and we believe it's a very special day. And we thank you for joining us this morning in the studio. We've got some great guests. My name is Michael Moore, and I serve here to help show you what business can do leaning forward, and we are leaning forward toward business this morning. We've got a area developer for PostNet and a local franchisee who is just a superstar in our community. We've got a gentleman who journeyed from a little bit outside the perimeter to show us how you can really benefit your community and be a true community activist, especially if you open your pocket and leave some money to help the community and build an entrepreneurial space that will really benefit those aspiring business people. I think Glenn's going to tell us about the wannabepreneurs or the wannapreneurs later on, but we'll talk about that. Got Mr. Glenn Henderson. And then finally, we'll wrap up with the place where you all can get your help from if you're a small business owner and need something very, very, very special from the Small Business Development Centers, which is a nationwide group. We've got Mr. Jeff Patterson from Georgia State University who kind of honchos one of those groups of folks that helps the people in the community that need help. And that'll be a lot of fun. But the BBA sponsors this event, and of course, most of you know if you're tuning in. If you haven't been before, we have great after-hours events on the third week of the month, and the other weeks of the month on Thursday morning we have a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous breakfast where you'll learn things that other people wish they knew. And so we'll just roll into the show right now. I'm going to start out with Kevin. And Kevin Center is a proud member of the Buckhead Business Association. As I said, he's a franchise business owner here. I guess he is one of those second career individuals, right, Kevin?
Third or fourth.
Third or fourth. So you're one of those post-millennials that really have already had almost all your education and all your education in business, and you now went to be a franchisee because you want a system that works, and you're helping a lot of business owners become that way. So share with us what kind of things PostNet does, but tell us why in the world you picked Buckhead first.
Well, thank you for that introduction, Michael. So PostNet is, as you mentioned, it's a franchise. It's focused on business-to-business printing. So B2B, we're looking at business cards, brochures, flyers, postcards, banners, promotional items like the wonderful mugs sitting in front of us.
Yeah, good-looking mugs. And they're special blue.
We also do graphic design work, as well as we have a shipping facility, so we can work with, we can ship your packages from UPS, DHL, FedEx.
Well, my wife would ask, do you offer curb service?
Hey, if she pulls up to the curb, we'll walk out and meet her.
Very good, very good.
So your other question was why Buckhead? So in addition to being the franchisee, the owner of the PostNet Buckhead location, I'm also the area developer for Atlanta for PostNet International. So we're looking to build a network in the Atlanta area of 25 stores over the next 10 to 12 years. And Buckhead, of course, is the central point for the Atlanta region for
thank you. We do believe it's the mountain of Georgia.
Yeah. So location-wise for the operation side of the business, it's wonderful because we're right at the edge of business district as well as the affluential residential area. But then as we grow business across the state or across the region, this is a very nice flagship location for us.
And you've been in operation here at Buckhead about 2 years or so?
That's right.
And what did that ribbon cutting look like? What kind of acceptance is PostNet nationally? Tell me a little bit about the footprint of your franchise.
Sure. Well, nationally, the PostNet has about 250 locations, and internationally we have about 700 locations. That is under the PostNet brand. Interestingly enough, in the last month, maybe the last 6 weeks, we were actually just acquired by an international organization, which has 20. Now, with our acquisition, we have 2,300 locations across the world.
Whoa.
So not all under the PostNet brand. The others are actually the remnants of Mailbox, et cetera. So MBE Worldwide is the parent company now.
And you run all these?
Oh, yeah. In my dreams.
He runs it with his smartphone. It's a very, very smartphone.
Yeah, excuse me, I have a call right now.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, now, what's the biggest challenge? I mean, you came into the market. You just said you changed industries. Business owners can do new things. You're certainly not new to the business world. You've been in the corporate arena, and you're putting in procedures and process, but you picked a franchise. You didn't go to start your own.
Right. Well, so the largest part of my career in the past was as a management consultant. Was brought in to solve problems, help people with process improvement, process design, strategic planning. And I felt like I was pretty good at that. But in the end, I realized I wasn't really enjoying that. What I really liked best was working one-on-one with my clientele. So I was looking for an opportunity to do that in a business setting where it could benefit me directly. I got to do that through PostNet. But what I was not really ready for was some of the day-to-day challenges like management of staff, things like that.
Oh, we forgot hiring and training, then management.
Exactly. PostNet as a franchise gives you a nice operating manual, tells you how to run your business with some variation, of course, that you can add in, but they don't give you staff. You don't walk in and start managing on day one. You've got to figure that out.
Well, I know the opportunity to select a location, to pick a location, to hire the staff, to look at business development, to just draw that circle and try to get people to come to even your grand opening ribbon cutting is always tough.
Indeed.
But now you've penetrated the Buckhead community a little bit from, as you said, from the edge of the community, and you're ranging out around. What are some of the special challenges you see every day that businesses aren't doing a good job of that you could help with?
Well, the operational side of my business is really about helping companies get their messages out. Now, we're not necessarily a marketing strategy company, but we're the implementation side of that. So when anytime a company's got a strategy, many times the challenge is they don't have that strategy, and we can help with that. Other times they do have the strategy, but they just haven't figured out how to get their message out in print media. So, they come to us with an open book, and we can really help them with that. Other times, they have a very specific plan, and sometimes it's been done well, sometimes it has not been done well, and that gives us an opportunity to improve on those past performances as well.
Well, that number one question everybody has, I guess it's the number one customer service question. What's so special about your PostNet location other than having you there?
Well, that's it. It's having me there, and that's it.
That's number one. I want 2 and 3 now.
Like George Costanza, I'm out of here.
I'm out of here.
No, I think that what we bring to the table is a personal consultative approach. As I mentioned, consulting was my background, so I really kind of understood how to talk to a customer or a client, get a good sense of what their pain points were, and then help them solve those pain points. And I really feel like we do that same approach from a printing perspective. If you're trying to get your marketing message out and you've either struggled with it or you just don't know where to start, we're listening to the customer tell us that and thinking about ideas of how to improve upon that. And then we actually see it through, as opposed to just giving an idea and saying, go do it online. No, we're there to help that customer throughout the entire process.
All right. Well, now change the name to protect the innocent. But give me one of your success stories you were really proud of.
Well, we just started a new opportunity with to protect the innocent, as you said. We'll call it a group that has a distributed sales force.
Already a challenge.
Yeah.
The business cards aren't going to match. I know that.
Nationwide.
Not unless you do them.
Well, that's right. That's exactly right. And they have a suite of flyers and brochures that we are printing for this parent company. Ensures that ensures that the sales agents all have compliant and consistent materials. For us, for those sales agents, it provides them with a opportunity to get that in one single spot, and they don't have to think about where do we go to print it, what message do we want. For us, it's consistent business.
Sure, it's regular. Mm-hmm. Well, now I know everybody out there wants to know about PostNet. We know you're at the edge of Buckhead, but tell us just where you are and tell us just how to find you, and go ahead and give us that website and your secret cell number if you would. No, don't give us.
My cell number. What's your number, Michael? So we are located at 3620 Piedmont Road. It's at the corner of Piedmont and Habersham Road, right near where Piedmont dead ends into Roswell Road. So if you've ever been to 10 Lizzie's, you can be enjoying your margaritas on the patio, staring at our store across the street.
Or you could go to Landmark Diner for breakfast before you pick your order up.
You could do breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and we'll be there in between. Our website is PostNet, PostNet.com. And our specific store's website is postnet.com/GA131. So that's GA as in Georgia, 131.
And you're a proud member of the Buckhead Business Association. So
Very much so.
Thank you for being with us this morning. All right, let's move over now to Glenn Henderson, who is basically a giver in the community, because I know, just based on who he is and what he's done already, he opened his pocket and made it possible for some entrepreneurs to be in business. So, Glenn, I know you're a little outside what we call the Buckhead zip code, but you're certainly within our area of influence. So tell us a little about why you're down today and what you're talking about here in Atlanta as a successful businessman trying to help other people find opportunity.
Well, thanks, Michael. It's good being here. Anytime there's a topic around business that gets my attention, I established a logistics company many years ago and grew it from nothing to over $100 million out in the Kennesaw area. And along the way, I've been bankrupt twice.
Hey,
and so,
but you got up.
I got up.
The got up part's what we're going to talk about today.
Well, I got knocked down a number of times. But in any event, that company was acquired in 2008.
Cash exits are always good.
Well, that was a good thing. In any event, so we revisioned, if you will, repurposed the property, and along the way, with best practices that we learned from many of the Fortune 500 companies, et cetera, we decided to use that facility to create an entrepreneur center where today it exists business accelerators to help existing businesses as well as startups. And so we've been teaching over these past many years at places like Harvard and up at Northwestern University, and now we have a center in Kennesaw, and we work with businesses to help them go from the hope where the dream does not become a nightmare. And so we work very much to try and help people realize what their dreams are.
Well, again, you've been at it for a couple of years, and I know it's important always to draw a timeline, but you took and repurposed the center out in Kennesaw. What year did you open?
2012 is when it was visioned, and it exists to we have classes that we teach, panels. We have office space where people can actually come in and make that their home, and so it has a variation of events and things that take place every month.
Well, I saw a good quote, and it may have been on your wall. If you want to be a growing business, it's a good idea to be around growing businesses. So talk a little bit about the success stories you've seen and some of the personal, I guess it would be back patting and back slapping you've had to do out there.
Well, people say success breeds success, but also you fail your way to success. So
right.
One of the things that we hope that we are doing a good job at is connecting people who have been there, done that, but also connecting people who have a passion to assist other people. So whatever success looks like, we're saying that once you grow the business, you're here to serve, and so if you think that you've arrived, then it's time to give back to the community. And so we work with people, businesses that are trying to make a difference in the community, and that's basically and essentially what Business Accelerators has done up in the Kennesaw area.
Well, you've been able to groom and launch some folks. You have some, again, change the name to protect the innocents. But what kind of products have you seen or services have you seen go out into the community and that's helped other businesses just by you being there?
Well, there's a number of things that we believe we can promote as a success story. So we've leveraged the university through using interns. So we take them out of being practitioners and bring them into the real world, and we have subject matter experts that come in and we say, here's where you'll find your next customer, and so they will then come in and teach best practices. And then we have people, we've seen where jobs have been found. So a lot of people want to be in business, but not everybody is cut to be sitting on a mountaintop.
Well, most of them can't stay in business. That's the problem. A lot of startups don't quite make it up.
Well, they say that the higher you go up in an organization, the thinner the areas, and so the thinking becomes very minuscule. But just because in some of the we think, but it's nothing new under the sun in that regard. I think that the thought process that you have an event and you get 1,000 people to show up, but nobody buys. So that's success because, of course, social media and all the other new things that we have to manage in the world today. Business still is business, and you have to be patient. It takes time, and typically when something happens real fast, it's not good, is what I tell folks. The only thing I know when I use some of the analogies, the only thing I know grows fast in the garden is a weed. So you have to take time.
Twice as quick.
And so we work to try and make sure that people have rock solid principles and understanding how to grow businesses. I tell them that a business is like a child. And the child, when a baby grows, you have a baby, for those people who understand, and the baby was going to wet, and it's going to cry, it's going to do other things that are not so nice, and it's going to, and you got to clean it up, and it doesn't care how you feel or what time of day it is. But if you take care of that baby and you nurture it and grow up, one day that baby will take care of you.
Well, that's very true. Now, I know you probably service over 100 of the entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs, and growingpreneurs out there. So tell us again, why in the world did you just pick that corner? You said you repurposed the building, but you could have taken the other choice and not repurposed that building to be an entrepreneurial center. So Talk about some of that community motivation that you had.
Well, again, my wife said I had a second career that has come along the way, and that's having learned best practices from people such as the Procter & Gamble's and the Motorola's and some of the other Fortune 500 companies along the way. We just felt like we had an obligation, especially to help, I call it collision avoidance. So I fly around the country quite a bit in the world, and I tell people that the light at the end of the tunnel is a train. You are going to be hit. But, we want to try to help people avoid.
Is it a train, a motorcycle, or a semi?
It's all of the above. And so, but it's not easy, but being in business gives you options, is what I try and tell and encourage people, and including my own kids. So the entrepreneurial life is the only thing I've known. I've been doing this for almost 30-some-odd years, and a serial entrepreneur. I tell people I'm serial, but in the entrepreneurial space. So we try and encourage people that if you work at it, then you can have a lot of options being an entrepreneur.
Well, as we said earlier, being around successful companies is a good thing. Growing business is a good thing. New business is a good thing. But if you've got some tips out there, now let's say you've taught at college level.
That's correct. I've been at Harvard and Northwestern University at Kellogg, and I'm a professor down at adjunct. Maybe just a junk.
Is that
a junk for me?
Your T-shirt may have been washed too many times. It just maybe is. Okay.
I have the bruises, the brass knuckles, and all those other things, and the scars to prove it. But yes.
Well, now choosing to locate out in Kennesaw in that section of the city outside the perimeter, we're blessed now in Atlanta with a lot of entrepreneurial incubators, startups, workspaces, whatever you want to call them, co-working. I know we didn't have these 6 or 7 years ago,
right.
So you made the bridge from doing it all by yourself to trying to help others do it. So it got to be a little bit of pleasure in that.
It's a
or pain, pleasure or pain.
Yeah,
one of the P's, right?
How about that? But the vision, and hopefully here in Atlanta, is there will be many of those centers. So because we have this thing called traffic here, and so the thought process is to have a number of those centers to which people can get to. Each one will have its own discipline, if you will, a sector.
They have their own culture too, because it's amazing what you can do between different centers and see what goes on.
And so, yes, the Entrepreneur Center there is really just we want to connect people. That's it. So that's about the only thing that, in terms of vision, mission, and reputation, is we want people to be able to say, I received something, either how to grow business, become more efficient, effective, because I was at that center. That's all we do. We don't deliver. We don't have no product. We just want to have that reputation of connecting people and providing opportunity.
A place to plant and water, huh?
There you go.
Well, now how do they find you? Give us the grid square, the corner of the street, and how they know where to find you.
Well, the website is mybiz, B-I-Z, excels, ACCELS.com, mybizexcels.com. And unlike other folks, you can reach me on my cell, which is 770-480-6641. And so it's mybizexcels.com, and it's a 7x24 by 365 operation.
Wow, just punch your number and walk on in.
There you go.
Glenn, thank you for your gift to the community, and thanks for that impact in Northwest Atlanta, and all over the state. I mean, people don't know where you can serve once you start serving.
Michael, it's been a pleasure.
That's good. So thanks. Reach out to him, and of course, being part of the business community is always important. Now, we've got a group, and they're coming up next. It's been literally all over the state. I think Jeff's going to give you some phenomenal numbers and probably have billions of dollars in them and numbers of locations and numbers of consultants. But in reality, unless you've been in business, unless you have been an entrepreneur, unless you've been a banker, been successful, done something right, you don't get to be part of the small business development centers. So, Jeff, talk a little bit about the things you've learned over the last, 3.5 years you've been associated with the SBDCs here in Georgia?
Yeah, about going on 4.
Going on 4.
Yeah, so it's Glenn was. I mean, I could just change the name, and use his script because he basically stole my thunder,
Yeah, but you remember he wrote the check and opened the doors.
But he didn't want my name.
We'll give it. No.
You have to sit down and be under a university logo and follow more rules. That's one of the things I want you to talk about.
I'm going to have him in as a speaker. So the small business development centers are a network of folks that help people, and we say a lot, like Kevin said, we help folks where the pain point is. So it could be marketing, it could be hiring people, it could be my expertise in finding the loans and things like finding capital. So we do a lot of coaching. We are university based, so in all seriousness, we do teach the adult learners. And basically, the one-on-one consulting is where the rubber really meets the road. We spend a lot of time nose to nose with folks trying to help them get to the next level, help them get beyond those barriers, whatever's in their way, so to speak, whether that's around it or over the top of it, whatever. But I think the unique thing about what we do is we leverage the university's assets, the library, all the research, all the tools that we have at our disposal to help those small businesses make good decisions. You also have to, if you're a business owner, you know this, you have to kind of put your thoughts on paper. So we help you do that. Most of the time, that cuts two ways. Most of the time, that helps you get your loan, your capital, because the banker and the investor might want to know, okay, what's this thing look like? What does success look like? And then, how am I going to get my money back? A certain return on those capital dollars. But we spend a lot of time doing that. We spend a lot of time helping you look good. We help get those business. You're.
Oh my
I'm
goodness,
not sure
looking good. I
I'm
can't.
not
That's
sure.
Now, how you don't do all this all by yourself? I know
No,
you work out of
goodness.
the Georgia State
That's
University,
right.
so let's give them a proper credit. You work
No.
in the center of the city and in the adjoining areas, but there's more than one SBDC in Georgia. Let's go ahead and give that free commercial.
That's right. There's 17 offices throughout the state. That's from Valdosta all the way up to Rome, Georgia. So everywhere in between, we are on university campuses, and again, it's a nationwide network. So chances are, if you pick up and move your business or to another state, we don't want them to leave Buckhead, of course. But if you do that, you'll find an SBDC somewhere in the neighborhood. We do have experts sprinkled around our system.
Well, talk about some of those
Yeah,
specialties. I know that's
yeah.
one of the things you're very proud of because you hire people with pure vertical expertise to help.
I'm the dumb banker in the crowd, but we do have an HR person.
Recovering
There
banker.
we go. We have an HR person in Macon. We call her up for those particular cases where folks want to hire people. We can help you, coach you through that if you need a handbook, those kind of things. Things that are. We try to be cutting edge, if you will, things that are coming, subjects that you need to be aware of, those kind of things. We've got an SEO guy in Kennesaw. We've got, a patent person in Augusta. So we've got some
Well, you've
other
got some process and some industrial folks. I think you also have some international people as well.
Right, we do. We do have a international department. Thanks for mentioning that. The numbers would suggest that if you're doing business, the old-fashioned way right here in the neighborhood, you get about a 20% lift, believe it or not, if you go international. And right now with the internet and those kind of things, those tools that are available to you, we can help you do that. We can show you how to do that.
If you can put it in a box, somebody will buy it. Huh?
You got to come see me first.
Well, you got to do a little training, a little opportunity. Well, now you've got your vertical expertise around the state. You've got multiple locations and offices, but how do you really get that service out there? What's a good potential client for you? How do they find you, and what do you do to them once they find you?
Well, we do a lot of outreach, to be honest. The university likes to let us do that for them, but we speak at all sorts of events, chambers. I will mention the SBA people, Small Business Administration people, are our federal partners, so we tag team a lot with them on educating and speaking to audiences. So quite frankly, we're out trying to get business just like a small business owner would. We're networking all the time. Once they come to see us, again, we spend a little time diagnosing, if you will, what hurts right now, and then we try to look down the road to see what else might ail you or where we might could help you. In all seriousness,
numbers are always impressive. I know that you probably have some stats you wanted to share with us this morning, share with the folks out there, because you mentioned 17 offices, and I know you have over 60 folks putting the rubber on the road every day around Georgia. But what does that mean to our business and our economy and the growth of all Georgia?
Yeah, so you do know most of the new jobs are created by small business, so that's our focus. So we do think we impact the economy through that. But the everybody does the happy dance when those jobs are created. So just for example, in the past 5 years, our network just in Georgia has created helped create about 1,700 new businesses. That's about 12,500 new jobs. So that's important. again, I'm the banker in the room, so we do help facilitate the capital. Now, we don't have money to lend, but we know the SBA products that will help you. We also know we have a good network of bankers. Call us up and say, hey, this guy needs this help or this gal needs this help, and then we, in return, if you don't really have a bank relationship, we can help you not shop your deal, that's the wrong term, but we help get the word out basically without you going from bank A to B to C and then negatively impacting your credit score.
Right.
So
and wasting your time, because some of the banks are just not interested in that type of product, and you've been able to help people understand some of those rules that they may not be aware of.
That's true. Hey, Kevin, we even help franchise folks that you just said, hey, I didn't know anything about hiring people. Well, come, we can help with that.
Well, you mentioned outreach. I know I was at a program a couple of years ago where your group came and spoke to the Georgia Association of Business Brokers, and it was amazing that over half of the people in the room who were buying and selling businesses for a living didn't even really understand that your group existed, and that's a great free resource. So talk about the free resource part.
Well, it is it's a no cost service. We are funded. Again, I'll mention the federal partner. The SBA folks give us money, but your tax dollars, my tax dollars, pay our way through the university system of Georgia. So that's how the money flows. But we're fortunate to be in Atlanta. We're fortunate to be. Everybody wants to come to our area, and we're just busy.
During good times and bad times, they come
that's true. And we're crazy busy, but that's a good thing.
Well, how do we find you on the web, or by the phone, or by smoke signal?
Yeah, well, smoke signal, not too sure, but you can find us all the locations in Georgia on georgiaspdc.org on the web. And, of course, I'm at Georgia State, so I'm downtown, 404-413-7830.
Good. Well, we look forward to people dialing that number and helping. You got room to help one or two more entrepreneurs be successful.
We certainly do.
And you do literally like to watch people go from one level to the next. I know one of your clients that I know personally has been able to matriculate into the Women's Entrepreneurial Center there downtown from the help and growth that she saw, or that she and her partner saw through associating with you. So it's good to know of a personal success story. And I know you'll help these entrepreneurial centers throughout the city. Yeah,
and as Glenn said too, we're connectors. So if we don't have the expertise in our network, we know a subject matter expert or somebody to call, and everybody's happy to help. We've got a great ecosystem here for entrepreneurship, and we'll help you get plugged in.
Well, God, this is great to have three people take the segments of the business. How do you really get into it? How do you think about getting into it? How do you do it once you've gotten into it today? We've had some really good conversation and thought process. Again, we're sponsored by the Buckhead Business Association. It's a pleasure of growing business not only in Buckhead, but in Atlanta and around and throughout Georgia. Rich, you've been over there just kind of scratching your head wondering, can we get any help here in this world?
Well, I'm wondering, you mentioned the ladies. Where are the ladies on this show?
Well, they're women entrepreneur people. They were busy today.
I did have a quick question for Mr. Henderson. How many members do you all have over there? And what are the membership levels or opportunities, I guess?
So there's several different membership levels. So it depends on what an individual, from a time and also budgetary standpoint. So there's anywhere. We try to make it attainable. So they're as low as $50 and as high as $200 a month, and we have a capacity of about 800 active members. We're not there now, but we're on our way.
All right. And I was looking at your information. So it's Business Accelerators. We just need to add radio to the end of that, and you could be a host. Michael's got this show, so this show is not available, but we'll create a show for you called Business Accelerators Radio, which would be the bar. Come on over to the bar.
Come over to the bar.
There we go.
Speaking of bars, I've got a quick question.
Drinks on Glenn.
Yeah, for Kevin. So margaritas,
we
can get margaritas over at your place.
10 Lizzie's offers takeout. It's fine. So if you're waiting for your order, you need to do your proof work.
And tune into Bar Talk Radio over there, while you're there,
We already got that.
Yeah,
Bartenders.
A quick question for Jeff. I've never had a direct answer on this. Like, how do you define? You mentioned small business drives our economy, right?
Yeah.
We've had virtually every level of the SBA from the White House on down to the local from the SBA. How do you define a small business?
Well, we use the SBA definition basically, which that's
today is under 500.
Well, that's right,
All right.
And maybe
$4.99.
So to me, that's a pretty big business, and we do have a lot of we have a lot of clients that are not quite there, but we're trying to get them there. So
because usually the criteria is either number of employees or revenue.
Or revenue, that's
right.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can have several hundred employees, and you can have a startup here at an accelerator that has a handful of guys, 3 or 4, and they're doing 10, 15, 30, 100 million in revenue.
Right. Listen, we'll work
work on
you.
that.
Yeah, we'll work with anybody.
We'll whiteboard it out.
I'm gonna
We'll
give you
sort that out. So if you want to
so-
work with PostNet, if you want to work with Glenn and his incubator, accelerator, you need some help from Jeff down at TSBDC to grow your business, you're in the right place. But you're here today because of Buckhead Business Association looks forward and thinks sponsoring these kind of programs are ideal. And certainly we've learned a lot today. So I'd have to say thank you, BBA. Well, that's it today for Michael Moore and Rich Casanova here at the station.
And the BBA breakfast Thursday morning.
That's right.
We just left that this morning, and then their luncheon is right out our window next week at the JW Marriott. So get your tickets. Go to Buckhead Business.
Buckheadbusiness.org. And you can get those taken care of. And go to Buckhead Business Show if you'd like to be hosted on this show by the Buckhead Business Association. So, Rich, let's wrap it up and take it on down.
Sounds good to me. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us and our guests on the Pro Business Channel. Use the social media links here to share today's show and stay tuned for the next episode of the Buckhead Business Show. Brought to you by the Buckhead Business Association.